Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Fiscal Talk. Today's topic will be: Is POS certification necessary in Norway? My name is Milita, and I'm a marketing manager at Fiscal Solutions. And today with me is Stefan Ditrih. Stefan is our legal consultant at Fiscal Solutions, and he will tell us more about today's topic. It seems like this topic is really interesting and that Norwegian fiscal system is somehow specific when it comes to POS certifications. So let's start with that right away. So Stefan, is POS certification necessary in Norway?
First of all, hello Milita, and hello everyone watching us today or whenever you're watching this video. You framed that question perfectly because as a lot of specific things about Norwegian fiscalization, there is no certification in a traditional sense. So when we hear software fiscalization, and we discussed in previous videos that Norwegian fiscalization system is software based, we usually associate that with the certification process. Of course, apart from audits, everyone's favorite topic, the certification process. In the case of Norway, as I mentioned, there is no traditional certification, but it doesn't mean there is no process at all. So instead of going through certification process by government bodies or some other certification bodies, in Norway you have to submit a declaration of conformity to the tax authority. So what it means is that you have to guarantee as a POS system provider that your system, your cash register system, conforms to all legal and technical standard as prescribed by Norwegian law and accompanying technical documents. So they kind of go towards believing you when you say that your system fulfills all the necessary details. But of course, that is not all. When you submit the declaration that your system fulfills all the necessary requirements, you also have to submit description of that system, and you have to describe every POS functionality you're going to use in your POS system. So if you're going to, for example, you have to, of course, describe the mandatory transactions we talked about in our previous fiscal talk, but also if you're going to add on some additional functionalities, you have to describe them sufficiently in your declaration of conformity. Once the Norwegian Tax Authority goes through your declaration and they approve it, your system will be posted on the Norwegian government's list of certified or declared systems. And once there, you'll have to update that information every time you make a change in your system. So you'll have to have a dedicated person who has to follow every change in your POS system, every change in the software, because the tax authority has to be notified about every version update of your POS system, and they will post that update on their system. So the declaration is submitted electronically through a portal called Altinn. So that is the portal set up by the Norwegian Tax Authority where you can register your system, submit a declaration, and get your number, certification number by the Norwegian Tax Authority. So before you start doing any business in Norway, before you sell your POS system in Norway, you have to declare it first. So it is illegal to use non-declared POS systems in Norway. So you have to do that before you start operating in Norway or before you sell your POS system. Also, as I mentioned, if you make any changes or you think that your system does not fulfill the legal requirements anymore, you have to notify the tax authority without delay and register the new version also. So you might be wondering if you haven't started doing business in Norway yet, but you have to submit a declaration. How do you do that if you're not established already in Norway? Well, to do that, you will have to first of all appoint a person who will be responsible for registering your POS system and submitting the declaration of conformity. And that person has to have D number in Norway is a temporary identification number for individuals who don't have a permanent residence in Norway. So before you start the registration process, you will first have to find a person, either a Norwegian citizen or someone who obtained a temporary ID number in Norway, and then they can register on Altin website to submit declaration for you. It is important that the person submitting the declaration is also responsible for all the information submitted in that declaration, meaning that they vouch that the information is true and exactly as described in your declaration. So in it, you have to provide information about your business, so and your cash register system or the POS system you're using, and then the Norwegian tax authority, once they go through your application, they will give you a registration number for your system. So in a way, the declaration of conformity, excuse me, provides evidence that your system is compliant with the technical and legal requirements set out by the Norwegian tax authority. And when you start using your POS system in Norway, that declaration has to be present wherever you're using your POS system. Because when an audit happens, they come to one of your stores, they will ask to see that you have submitted the declaration of conformity. They will check the information on it with the information they have in their system. They will check if the current version used in your store is comparable to the version registered with the government, and also they will check the functionalities of the POS system as described in the declaration. If there's any discrepancy, you can be fined, and your company can undergo a more scrutiny from the tax authorities. So in general, that is how you declare your POS system in Norway. It is important to do it before you start operating in Norway, before you start selling your POS system. If you're a POS provider, if you're a retailer, before you start using it in your stores, you have to use a declared system, and the list of POS systems that are declared are published on the tax authority's website. So, Military, that will be a rough overview of the submitting the declaration of conformity, the entire process, and rough steps what you need to do to submit that declaration, which is very important. It's one of the bases of Norwegian fiscalization system.
Great, Stefan. Thank you. That was pretty clear. But shortly for our viewers, what is the content of the declaration of
Mhm.
conformity, and is there some additional documentation that needs to be submitted?
Okay, yes, it is important to get acquainted with all the requirements for the declaration itself, so you can do everything on the first try. So when it comes to the content, you have to, of course, identify the person who is submitting the declaration in for your business. So they have to identify themselves. You have to identify the business which is using the POS system or providing the POS system. You have to identify the number of cash registers you're going to use, so model number and software version that's present in your POS system. You also have to submit a confirmation that the cash register system meets the technical requirements set out in all the regulations by the Norwegian tax authority. If you are registering a new version of the software, you have to provide any details of the software modifications that have been made to the cash register system to make sure that they are still compliant with Norwegian regulation. And roughly, that is the content. So describing who you are as a business, describing the person who is submitting the declaration, and describing the POS system itself. Of course, the declaration or the application for the declaration has to have a signature and date of submission of the person submitting the declaration, and that person, by signing that application, is actually accepting responsibility for the accuracy of information provided. If there are some false information provided on the application, that person can face prosecution for perjury. So it's important to that every data is true on that declaration. Some additional documentation you might need is the copy of the software source code that needs to be submitted, detailed description of the POS functionalities. I already mentioned that a few times. A statement that confirms that the software meets all the technical requirements. If you're using any third-party components or libraries in your software, you also have to list all the third parties whose components or libraries you're using in your software, and you have to provide any relevant user manuals or other documentation for the software, and that manual has to possess a description of every process or every functionality used by the POS system that's being declared with the Norwegian tax authority. And once they have gone through and accepted your declaration, they will publish the name and version of your POS system on the website together with the data on the person who submitted the declaration. And from that point on, you can use that POS system in Norway if you're a retailer, and you can sell it if you're a POS provider. Also, something important that I forgot to mention, and we mentioned that in our previous episode, is that system documentation, software descriptions, service manuals, programming tools, programming manual must be in Norwegian, Danish, Swedish, or English. So 4 languages are accepted when you're submitting the declaration of conformity, and that requirement also applies to all the documentation produced by your POS system, meaning mandatory reports, receipts, and so on. So you can use 4 languages, which makes it a little easier when submitting the declaration of conformity.
Okay, great. You actually gave us one good and concise review of Norway,
Thank
and
you.
I think we have like the whole picture now with the whole 3 episodes, the 2 previous and this one. And of course, I would like to invite everyone, if you have any proposals of some topics that you would like us to cover, marketing at fiscal-solutions.com. Feel free and type which countries you're interested in, or go and check out our fiscal portal for more information and for more countries as well. Thank you, Stefan, once again for being here with us, and thanks everyone for watching. Until next time, bye.
Thank you. See you next time.